Yes, really. Again, another prompt. Another one. Another one. True. So, I had this huge issue with Tide, which is what I was using beforehand. I spent like an ungodly amount of time configuring it. Well, regardless, the issue with it was the fact that once you open a new shell, it takes like, I don't know, 3, maybe even 5 seconds to load up. So that was part of the reason why I never used the VS Code terminal. Or I guess it was more so the reason why I haven't tried again. Because if I wanted to open the terminal, it would take like a ridiculous amount of time to load up. Sorry, that's probably loud as fuck, right? Yeah. I usually forget 1 or 2 steps in my setup. Then this is one of them. Now you can see what I'm pressing. Yeah, but now as you can see, this is pretty much instant, like loads up immediately, which is very nice. Meaning now I can very easily open a new terminal in VS Code for the project. For example, I open a new project in Rust, and then I can open that terminal in the VS Code workspace to maybe run Rust or do whatever else I need to do specifically for that, instead of having it in this terminal emulator. Well, basically now I don't have to, which is very nice. So timer is a constant thing for me, so is chores, so is GPT, so is anon, and so is main. But there are some that technically should only be there for some time and then leave. For example, cores used to be here. Right, I forgot a very important thing. I forgot to pop out chat. Very important. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I was thinking there is something wrong. That's what it is. Okay. So basically, now I don't have to already have a terminal instance for maybe the course or Rust or anything else, because I can create it on the fly very easily. So let's just try it. Like, that's very fast, like that's as fast as it goes, and then I can rename it if I want to, make it a new color, which should be this, if I'm going to use it for quite some time. But if not, I just make it here, like here we go, that's it. Like, that's a new terminal. It's restarting, but that's very fast. Maybe for you it doesn't feel that fast, and that's because you don't have the context of me using Tide beforehand, which was incredibly fucking slow. Right, so that's the new config that I'm going to be using. And now what I want to do is clean up everything else that I used to have. So, hello, I'll be able to join in roughly 20 minutes. Oh, that's great. I might pass out. Please don't. I would be really happy to see you here. Oh, you got an even better name. Damn, that's great. I sure hope that my name isn't going to be taken, but I doubt that it would be, right? Okay, so let's look at what are the changes that I already made. So first of all, in functions, what do we do here? Oh, that's just a new line, so you can immediately stage it. What I want to do here basically is organize my old stuff change it to the new things, and basically, yeah, that's it. And this is also stageable because it's not like a huge change that would matter. Okay, C#. Okay, at this point we can go here and GS, and you can see that I used to have like get status here, now I don't. This is the trade-off of the Starship prompt. The fact that if you wanted to use get status, it's like noticeably and significantly slower, and even now, like that's pretty slow, right? True, and it is, but the boot up time is just so monstrously faster that it's actually worth it. It makes creating a new terminal actually far more viable than that used to be. So that is huge. And even though now I don't have get status, I do think that it's worth it. So let's see, what do we have here? CSS symlinks. Let's add oh, I know how to do this. CSS symlinks, and yeah, it indeed works. And add setup. Yeah, fish setup. Boop. Oh, that's interesting. I'm surprised. Oh, I guess you wouldn't be able to glob deleted files. I kinda hoped that you could. Okay, let's get status again. Actually, let's do it from here. So now we deleted fish everything, but that I'll do later, like in a separate commit. Config changed, functions changed, that's fine. We renamed C#. And that, I think, so deleting setup should have been committed by now, but it wasn't. So let's do it. And we deleted everything because, okay, so that's going to be a separate commit. Let's commit this. Move CSS setup into the setup folder directory. Right, we're Linux users here after all. I find it interesting that it shows the percent. I imagine that's the things changed. Otherwise, I'm not quite sure what it could mean. Interesting fact, currently I only have one branch, but recently, just recently, I had two branches, the other one being Starship, for my repeated attempts at trying it out. And if I actually go to a different branch other than master or main, then you will see the branch thing show up. But since I'm on main, I don't really need that information because, duh, I'm on main. It's kind of unnecessary information. So that's why it doesn't show up. But it very much can. I just disabled it because I think it's a cool feature. Okay, and the other thing that we need to still commit is everything. So delete everything, because it's not safe. That's my explanation pretty much. Everything was a file that you could run. It's a fish script that would run the other fish scripts that you see here. But the thing is, I'm already like too scared to run some of these files, like this one for example, because technically there are points of incorrectness, and one of those points is my cat meowing again. I feel like I accidentally Pavloved her into meowing when I start streaming, or maybe when I start speaking. She recognizes that I exist, and she's like, I gotta meow. Why? I don't know. Well, I guess she wants attention. Well, regardless, that remove is not needed. Config we actually do not need to change. C# is, well, I guess we'll get to it later. Functions also. One-time commands. This is a new file that I made for commands or other stuff which isn't specifically set up, that you only need to run once. And here we have symlinks. Alright, so once again we can just SF. Didn't know that link also had a force flag, but now I do. Okay, so what's my idea? There are some things that will for sure work. So like this one, for example, if git is not installed somehow, you install it and set all of these settings. And you might think that it's strange that I'm just showing you this email here, but like, I don't have it. GitHub does. You can write to it all you want, I'll never see it. So yeah, I asked about it, like if that's the case or not. And this is kinda whack, but has been working for me incredibly, where my Windows credentials are stored into my Linux credentials. So there are other things that work similarly. Oh my god. Basically, if this command doesn't exist, you just install it. But there are points of contention like this. How am I sure that the ytdlp file exists in .files? And better / worse yet, oh my god, hold up. Right, so my point is, these commands, even if I run them again, no worries. But this though, I'm not, like, I won't be sure about the states of every single file that I specify here. So that's kind of like, I'm not sure, you know? So installations that require symlinks to be made, I'll make into separate fish scripts. I think that makes sense. So actually, believe it or not, I started using the VS Code Explorer. I'm surprised. I'm like mega surprised that I'm not like making a file in the terminal or using the cooler extension to create files just using the VS Code Explorer. That's like very strange for me. But I'm trying to master all of the tools that I have available and use them to the extent that I think is useful, rather than being stuck on one thing, which I naturally like to do. Okay, so ytdlp, and this file will instead contain this. Since now we know that we're making a symlink, which can potentially so this file, hold up, this file may potentially not exist, or the opposite, this file may already exist. And if we force it with the F flag, maybe this is the wrong file somehow, or maybe it's been emptied for some reason and it overrides the non-empty file. Basically, I don't have a guarantee that this will work how I expect to just put it here. And say I add a new thing that I install, or rather that I want to install, and maybe I just want to run install.fish rather than copy that command into my shell. If all of these only run like unimportant, I guess, commands, then it's safe to do. But if they're possibly making directories, symlinks, this curl thing, interestingly, okay, we can actually do the same thing here. So command Q is pretty much the same as which and then the name of the command. So if not Fisher, then we install it. And yes, by the way, this entire thing we won't need. But first of all, let's YTDLP this shit. Alright, so I'm not gonna force the symlink. If the file is already there, then that's exactly what we want. So that's that, actually. And we're going to do the same thing about fish, like overall. However, well, I guess if it's a fish script, then I can still go to the directory and run this. So yes, it's very much fine. And config.fish, I'm pretty sure already exists. So here, forcing it makes sense. But once again, if it's in this whole install file, then it's kind of like very forcing. Well, it's the flag. But if it's in a separate file that I need to explicitly run, whole different situation. Okay, so YTDLP is moved out. Let's do some other small changes. So init.lua is not a file that exists by default. So we don't need to force it, interestingly. This will delete later. Oh, Starship. Is there something like Starship? Yes, actually, interesting. We're gonna look at that command and what it actually does. Starship. And in the same way, that file won't be there by default. We don't need to force it. Yeah. Unless in the future I figure out that forcing it is actually better for some reason, then maybe I'll change it. Okay, so let's gamp it, as I like to say. move YT DLP installation into a script. And I do understand that it's like a very small, simple script. So like, is this even worth it? I do think so, yeah. Because as I install new software, going to their GitHub or whatever else every time and figuring out how to install it is a lot. But if I just have scripts that install everything for me, I just run them in some sort of order, and like here I am, and that's it. I think that's like very nice. Alright, so let's do the same thing for fish. Just fish configuration, I guess. Yeah. Fish. That's funny. We create fish. Do we need to force it? Yes, in this case we do, actually. But let's see if there is any other configuration for fish specifically that we need to do. Oh, that's interesting. So it was there in install and in Symlinks. What about Starship? Yeah, this file, pretty sure I deleted it on one branch but not the other, and here it is, like existing still. It's probably the reason. Okay, so for fish, we make a new directory, fish, and right, config.fish. But more importantly, we can we like forcefully touch? Yes, we can by redirecting. So we can echo, I guess, an empty string into .config fish functions fish greeting .fish. Oh wait, easier. Function fish greeting and func save fish greeting. And let's just see if the syntax is correct. It is, but in the same way, yeah, that's already something that I do. So I would just need to run functions and it will all be good. Okay, so that is okay. But another thing that I did forget about, and I just recently realized it, is fish mode or something. Let's go to fish functions and let's see what's in here. So it should be something along the lines of fish something. So fish prompt is, yeah, that's like all right. Fish mode prompt, I think. Let's get fish mode prompt. Nothing, and that's exactly how it should be. Fish mode prompt. As a matter of fact, the same thing goes for the prompt itself. Yeah, to make sure that it's literally nothing, let's fish mode prompt into dev null again. So even if it becomes something, we can override it, because in the current prompt that I'm using, I don't use it, like the mode prompt. what happens instead is this. My character gets changed. So fish installation is now moved out. But I would argue that the installation of the shell prompt is very much linked to that. Okay, well, this may be a bit strange, but what I'm thinking right now is the actual installation, so this line will be in install, and all the other stuff, like this, are in this script. But don't I want, like, all of it? No, actually it does make sense to leave it in this file, because I think this install script actually like runs and asks you stuff rather than silently running and doing its thing. A similar thing goes for NeoVim, but there it's like a whole entire thing, at least on Ubuntu and now Kali too. Yeah, separating installations, if they're like tied together, is pretty fair. So Fisher, hold up, do I need Fisher anymore? I only needed it for Tide and I no longer am using it. And I use no other plugins. I don't actually need it. Okay, so that's going to be the next step. Let's look at anything else that may like make sense to put in fish installation. Okay, so here we make sure the fish folder exists. Then we force our config onto the config that's there. Then we install Starship and put it in the correct place if it's not already there. And that's pretty much it, I think. Or at the very least, I don't remember what else could you possibly need to do. So let's do the same thing. Oh, I guess cd dash not files, move fish. I renamed Simlinks. Have I? Are you sure? Alright. Create, or rather add, fish shell installation script. And yeah, hello, glad to see you. It's pretty late actually for me. It's 2 a.m. and I've spent the entire day just fucking around with random stuff, and now I have a new shell prompt, so now I'm cleaning up. It's not as fast as my previous one was, but its huge benefit is that it's immediate once you create a new shell session, when the previous one took like 5 seconds to load up. And now I'm going to do the very satisfying action of deleting bullshit. Deleting straight ass. Fisher we don't need. You know why? Because we don't use tide anymore. And this whole entire fucking mess, which I very much can't trust, I now can delete. Whew, that's it. And we can now Fisher remove. Oh my god, thank you so much for actually like saying to me. Yeah, that's actually very on brand. I find this interesting that yeah, that's strange. Well, okay, so now we don't need Fisher, so I might as well remove it, right? Alright. Streaming at 2 a.m. is like so me. It's so incredibly me. The reason for this is that like I spent so much time doing stuff and I still had a bunch of things planned, and I was like, oh my god, if I don't talk to someone about what I'm doing, I'm gonna go insane. So streaming yeah, streaming is like an outlet for things you're interested in, so that's very helpful, and not going insane pretty much. Okay, so the other things, like all of these I could run again if I wanted to. It wouldn't really matter. But this, while yeah, it still makes a new symlink, which I do want to separate neovim fish and paste it. And now it's a separate script, and I use -s instead of -sf because init.lua, so this little thing, doesn't exist at the path to begin with. We actually created ourselves. So yeah, neovim moved out. But before we do that, let's I forgot like what's what. Gap. Yes, gap. Can you make it smaller? S is not there, so no, I guess. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't give you an option to stage deletions or creations. The -p flag for get add. Yeah, kinda. I kinda am. But like expending more energy is a pretty good way of proving to myself that I am tired. So the way that I operate, if I'm not like productive / effective enough, often I'll go into this craze of do things, like be productive, go crazy and go stupid, rah. And then I do so like for a really long time, pressuring myself very much. And I do that pretty much until I'm satisfied with what I've done. Yeah. But this whole process is basically proving to myself that it's okay, you're enough, you did good. Because I don't hear it enough, like, otherwhere. I have this like whack method of proving it to myself. Like, if I'm that tired, surely I've done enough. That's like the idea behind it. Oh, but I don't think that's good. Yeah, I'm aware, but it's very easy to get stuck into this trap, I guess. Because if there's no proof that I'm enough, the like almost obvious solution is to go make that proof to yourself, you know? Find it interesting that when I press tab to autocomplete, even though there is one single thing that could possibly be there, it still takes time. I guess it runs git status underneath to figure out what it can like provide you. The speed is reasonable, but for some things it can be faster to just straight up type it in yourself. Or what I usually do, use my own thing to find the file. Yeah, pretty much. All right. And now we staged it too. Let's GMP. Remove type plugin. Read description. Or don't, I guess. It's not going to be that important, so I don't have to specify read description. Or rather, we removed the Tide plugin, NeoVim installation script, add, and it's still under 72, or it's even under 50. That's perfect. So commit messages, so this, are supposed to be under 50 characters. So for a change this big, I'm glad that it's so like small, you know. Yeah, this is fine because I don't know how I'm going to be installing NeoVim on my next system, because on Kali and Ubuntu I had to go through hoops to achieve it. Well, not necessarily that much of a hoop, but hoop enough, I guess. Okay. I see. So basically this is a single block because after we install Git, we do things with Git, which is pretty much like initial setup. Then we install pip, and once we do, we install things with pip. Then this is just the usual install methods, like whatever. And these are the weird install methods. Well, curl isn't that weird. It's just more manual, I guess. So for that reason, what if we put it here, and all these hypernormal ones are going to be at the bottom? Sounds good to me. But for that reason, let's undo and ga again. Yeah, let's ga again. Oh, ga, I meant. Okay, yeah, that's better. So everything is staged again. If these new changes weren't staged, the same exact file, so this one, would appear again, but as unstaged, by the way, which I find quite interesting. Okay, let's GMP, and it should have our... Oh, it doesn't. Oh well. Remove tide plugin. I'm screaming because the people watching my videos may like go through the links to the I guess, yeah, they would go to my config.fish trying to find configuration options and then see that I remove them in the next commit. We're going to be doing this in the next commit, but basically it's so that it's very visible to them when I did this. Remove tide plugin, add NeoVim installation script. I guess I didn't do the elation, just install. Right, it uses two L's. Add NeoVim install script. Boop. Very, very important to boop, in my opinion. And now in config.fish we get to just go crazy, go stupid. Wow. Right now I just kind of like a line after it for some reason, not sure why. So the Gruvbox ones should stay because they are actually used, but there is not that big of a reason for me to keep these, because these are now handled by Starship. Let's open starship.toml like this, I guess. Okay, so here we have pink, purple, gray, yellow, green, cyan, red, orange. Okay, so in other words, all of the colors that we have are stored in another file at the very least, so I'm not gonna lose them, so I might as well delete them. Makes sense to me. Hist size, FCF. Okay, so basically just gonna feel kind of sad looking at this, like, and deleting it. I spent so much time and energy on configuring this shit, and now I'm deleting it. Damn, that's actually kind of sad. What the fuck? Damn. That's crazy. Did you see the meme? Go crazy, go stupid. Recently. Yep. Well, not recently. I've seen it many times, and I've always loved it. It's such a funny meme. It's just the craziness of that dude, the pure emotion of him is just so beautiful. Yeah, I guess that's everything the Tide plugin has us do or have. Yeah, so we gamp it again. Remove Tide plugin configuration. My commits, like, if you look at my commits, I think I've never screamed in commits. Not a single time. This is the first time I'm screaming in a commit, because it's that damn important to like make this change very clear. Yeah, like if you go through my commits, I probably do not have anything uppercased. This is pretty like special, I guess. Okay, that's it, I guess. We just now have to wait until the time where I try out another one, another fucking shell prompt. Okay. So later, accept later. Okay, this I did. Enable git status through Windows Starship executable. So there is a way for my current shell prompt to make the git status faster, but it wasn't worth it, so I decided to not do it. Oh no, seeing the pink and yellow together brings back flashbacks. Really? Flashbacks? I love these colors. Maybe like I'm not the most stylish person of it, but I love these two colors so much and I want to combine them when perhaps they're not that combinable. Well, I'm looking at my top and hoodie hanging right next to me, and they slap together. Like, I don't know. Apparently they don't match. I know, right? Like, apparently. But I don't know, like, I love these two colors so much that I want to match them. Maybe I will be the queen that manages to match them somehow. Maybe. So, I have now a new superpower that I used to not have. I can open a new terminal, which, I mean, yeah, I could do before if I was willing to wait like 5 seconds, and let me tell you, I wasn't. Yeah, but basically I get now the power of exit. Let's set a timer. Oh, I guess you won't hear it anyway. So timer, say 10 seconds, and then once it's done, I can exit. Let's run this. Go to any other place, and we're gonna wait for 10 seconds. Hello, I'm really glad to see you here. You're new, I haven't seen you here. So, look at this. Timer ran out. We click on this, and the fucking tab closed by itself. So any huge task that takes a lot of time, you can just open a new terminal for, and then boop boop, exit, and once it's done, the tab closes by itself, which is so cool. And I get this power because I now use a different shell prompt, Starship, which loads up. Like, that's incredibly fucking fast. Like, that's so fast compared to Tide. And because it's so fast, I actually now have the ability to use like more tabs because they open fast. And make them exit once they are done doing their thing, which is like pretty cool. Yeah, so to enable this, I want to make a new abbreviation. So let's go to, actually, I have an abbreviation for going to abbreviations. Ah, yes, EN. So E is already x, then x, yeah. So let's bra x and then position. I'm gonna make a new abbreviation for and exit. So if it was false, it won't exit. In other words, let me show it off, like just simply how it will work. So if you didn't know, you can just type in true, and that will be true. Like it will return the status of 0, and you can use false to get the status of 1. So this is an error. This is pretty much just for testing. So these are available in your shell, even if you don't use fish, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, works in Z shell, so it's probably like there everywhere. So let's say we true, and if true is true, no, hold up. Let's start with false. So if false is true, and it's not going to be, if false is true, then we exit. We didn't. But if true is true, then we exit, and we exited the tab. So that's how it's going to work. And the other way we could do it is by using a semicolon. But remember what we just did with the false? It didn't exit. But now it does. But it's kind of strange that now it actually asks me for something. Hold up. It's probably part of my settings somewhere. Should be in advanced. Oh, here we go. Close only when process exits successfully. And it didn't, which is why it's like holding me up. Oh, that's interesting. We can press enter to restart. Didn't know that was a thing. So I'm gonna keep it there. But yeah, with the double ampersand, we only exited, so we only did the second command if the first one was true. But with the semicolon, exit gets executed regardless, which is usually not what I want. I find it interesting that you can just close tabs by pressing exit. It's kind of neat. Okay, so that's why I'm going to be using double ampersand exit, to make sure we exit only if whatever else is true. Great. So let's gamp it. Exit. Actually, abbreviation. I have an auto hotkey hot string for the word abbreviation because of just how often I need to use it in commits. I mean, you can look how many abbreviations I have, especially for Git. For Git is just crazy. Yeah, it's still Git. It's still Git. Seriously. It's so crazy. Yeah. So you can imagine how many commits I have with the word abbreviation in them. Many. A lot, even. Oh, actually, this should be aligned. I know, right? Like, goddamn. Let's amend this. So git command amend, git commit amend, no edit, push force. And here we go. Since it was such a small change, I decided to just amend the commit instead of creating a separate one. My bad, because I actually needed to add that change first. So gamanth to mean git add now. And we still amend to the same commit, so it's all good. Okay. Yes. So now what I want to do is capital X is copy current character. In NeoVim and Vim, what I'm using right now, you can press X to delete the current character and capital X to delete the previous character, which is a low-key whack because there's no way to delete the next character. So in this case, it would be H. Let me make it a bit bigger. Like, how would you do it? You would have to go there and then X. Let's see, maybe DV to L. No, that does a completely different thing. So you would have to go there first. But for some reason you can delete the character before. And that's great, and I use it all the time. But I felt that it's like, it might as well be something that actually relates to X. So what X does is do something on a single character that's the current character. What if capital X did the same thing, but differently? So X deletes it. What if capital X copies it instead? So let's implement exactly that. Let's go here to the end. Oh, interesting. Oh wow, that's so old. Interesting. Huh. What about better? Okay. Oh, that was some testing, I imagine. I just like got a bit scared that I did all the merges and stuff and thought that maybe they undid my recent like init Lua changes, but no. Okay, so let's create local, and this is pretty much just going to be YL to copy the current character, so we can YL and then P because we just yanked L. But YL, I mean, it's in the name, YL. It's kind of like goofy to press it. Doesn't feel good when capital X would feel that. So copy current character, and it's just YL. And now we vim app in normal mode, capital X, copy current character. And now let's reload. And now I press capital X, P. That's pretty nice. That's very nice, I would even say. What does lowercase x do in visual mode? Very boringly, it deletes the line or the selection, I guess. That's so incredibly boring. Okay, but what capital X does? Interesting. Capital X in visual mode deletes. Okay, let's try this. What happens now? Ah, that's so strange. Capital X in visual mode deletes the selection, but even if it's not a lined selection, it deletes its lines. That's strange, because what you would usually do is press capital V and then D, I guess, and pressing Control X is like faster. Strange, but I feel like I'm gonna start using it. However, what would make sense more No, I'm taking back my words. I was thinking of, okay, let me actually show it to you. It was called something like multiply. Yeah, multiply. So I can select this and then press capital, no, not capital, letter Q, and it multiplies my selection. I was thinking that, maybe it would make more sense to put it at capital X, because what capital X does now is, well, it doesn't duplicate it, but it does copy it. And I was fully expecting that I would delete this other multiply function, which just duplicates the current character. But just copying, or the other way, copying and pasting it at the same time, I think both of those can stay. So if I just need to copy the current character to maybe use it, I now can use capital X for that. But if I specifically, like maybe I forgot another E and I need to specifically duplicate it, having something that does exactly that makes a lot of sense. And then the same thing for capital Q to multiply it. So, no, not capital, letter Q. So letter Q multiplies no matter what. If I'm in a selection, multiplies selection. If I'm in a character, it multiplies it. And then I have a separate thing that just copies the current character for me to use however I want. So very useful, because now I can capital X and I just paste it. Like very, very nice. And it's something that I would usually, not like I wouldn't able to do it, but I just wouldn't do it because, once again, YL. It's pretty, like, meh, you know? So now, instead of pressing DD, what I could potentially do is V capital X, which is strange as fuck. Like, it's mega super strange. But I don't think I hate it. DD is just so much simpler though. But yeah. Do something for the private mode. This is mentioning how in Fish Shell you can enter a private shell session. So let me do that, in my case by pressing Ctrl P. And now if we echo fish private mode, yes, we get 1. And what that means is that we are currently in private mode. If we try to look at history, we won't get any. And it's not because once we reload our shell, we get no history. No, actually, we get all the history. But in a private session, we don't write to history, and we don't get history. So we can even say some mega private stuff. As you can see, it's now in our local, I guess, history that will only stay for this current shell session. But once we reload, we don't get it. And if we reload into a normal shell without private mode, just did it, it happens so quickly that you wouldn't notice it. In Tide, you usually would. Well, no, you always would, because it's so damn slow, but this is so fast that it's hard to show off things. Now we look at history. It's there, all right, like, yeah, here it is, but you don't see the mega private stuff. So this is a very cool feature of Fish. And what I want to do is add a signifier to my shell that I'm using private mode. Yeah, that's what I want to do. But not today, because I can already imagine that it's going to be incredibly annoying. Sorry for blue balling you, but maybe eventually. But this thing I do want to do. Well, first of all, let's gamp capital X copies current character. I very much see myself actually using it pretty often. Oh, I know, like I copy this space so I can like paste it here, for example, multiple times. It's true that I could use 3-letter Q to multiply it, but this is like, yeah, I love this basically. Okay, so accept merge. What am I talking about? When you have a merge conflict, VS Code will tell you, select these changes. Which one do you want? I want to make hotkeys for this. So instead of having to press with my mouse, I can do something with my keyboard. So let's see if I even can. That's once again some chat thing, which seems to be recent, and I am not sure what that is. Huh, that's pretty cool, but I don't care. Oh, here it is. So merge conflict, accept all both. What? Accept all both. Think about it again. Accept all both. That is such strange like structure of saying it. Accept all both. Lol. Accept all current, accept all incoming, accept both without all now, accept both, accept current, accept incoming, accept selection. Oh, that's interesting. Accept all changes for real. Accept all changes for real. From left, from right. Oh, because usually it would like have two editors next to each other. But that's not what it is for me because I changed it. Okay, well, the thing is, I don't have merge conflicts that often, and I don't yet know what's the best. Maybe accept all incoming and just typing in the command and using it will be enough until I actually do it so often that having my own hotkeys will make sense. So for now, I'm gonna leave it be. Okay, let's try another way of doing this. I like that less. But V Shift X I like more. It's weird as fuck, like, most definitely, but I'm definitely going to start using it. However, so here I'm pressing capital V, J, D, and here I'm pressing V, J, capital X. What I didn't like in capital V, J, D is D specifically. Because when I'm pressing capital V, my left hand kind of moved off the D key. So I press J and now I have to move my hand back to the D key, when that isn't that much of a case with X, because my left hand moved more to the right and I'm closer to X. And the thing is, I can still capital V J X for the same effect. But also, I would usually just do DJ if I need to delete 2 lines. This is more so for when I want to delete from visual mode specifically, which sometimes happens. Maybe if I'm not sure what I'm deleting and I need to check first. Yeah. Okay, so accept merge, I actually, if I'm going to do eventually, once I actually need it to be more efficient than it currently is. It's not something that I do nearly often enough to make sense to make a remap for, you know? Alright, and I'm overall happy. So, time to eat and also time to end stream. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you had a great time. I'm going to eat, watch Hunter x Hunter, and actually let me show you how much I've watched. I already watched Hunter x Hunter entirely, and here I am. In just a few days, I watched 78 episodes, which is just crazy. I mean, you can also see that I watched 774 One Piece episodes, which is crazy. Wait, hold up. Kick the bucket means die. Don't die. You crazy. Definitely don't die. Yeah. So, gonna continue watching Hunter x Hunter. I hope you have a great time, whichever part of the day it is for you. So, goodbye.